Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, where we uncover what it really takes to lead change, create value, and build what's next. I'm JL Heather, here with my co host Preston Chandler. Together, we lead Centered, a firm that helps organizations navigate complexity, spark creativity, and unlock the full potential of their teams through innovation coaching and strategy. Today's guest embodies the kind of innovation that we love to highlight on the show. It's the kind that starts with a deeply human problem and leads to a deceptively simple, one might say world changing solution. I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Tyler Susko, MIT trained roboticist, longtime UCSB engineering professor, and founder of Cadence, a company creating adaptive footwear designed to restore mobility and independence for millions of people with walking challenges. Tyler's breakthrough variable friction shoe technology represents a rare fusion of robotics, biomechanics, and accessible design. What started as rehabilitation robotics research ultimately led him to an insight. The most transformative solutions aren't always high tech machines, they're often the simplest ideas engineered exceptionally well. Tyler, I got to admit, I'm excited to see the shoe. I think you said you have one there, so I'm looking forward to
I
see
do.
see you hold that up at some point and see how this all works. And just in general, it's going to be a great conversation. So welcome to the show.
Indeed.
Sure. Thanks so
Welcome.
much. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. So maybe to start off for listeners unfamiliar with the science, what exactly is variable friction technology, and why does it matter for people with walking challenges?
Yeah. So just as you said, Jill, we started with the problem. So my background is I did my PhD in rehabilitation robotics. So we're focusing on robots that interface with people to deliver physical therapy. So uh, in starting with that, you got to understand the problem, which is the vast majority of the people we work with have difficulty advancing their foot forward when they go for another step. So the scientists in me would call that the swing phase of walking. You have a stance phase when your foot's in contact with the ground, and then swing phase when it's moving forward. So the vast majority of the people that make use of these shoes have trouble getting that foot forward. So if you have trouble and you're in a standard high friction pair of shoes, they get caught on the ground.
Yeah.
And so if they get caught on the ground and you're just moving at some certain speed, shoe gets caught, now you're a tipping hazard. So having a low friction surface during that portion of gait allows your foot to come forward if it accidentally contacts the ground. So just slide in front of you, and that restores the base of support underneath your body. And then as soon as you put your weight on the shoe, it responds into a high friction surface and grabs the ground.
Mm.
So this was really started off with robotics research because at that time, what I was doing is putting people on a big dual split treadmill robot in which I could remove the floor completely on the side that couldn't get forward during that swing
Oh.
phase. So the robot would be able to look at the person, remove the floor completely, and then it would restore the floor every time they would go to stand on that foot again. So it happened very quickly, and it was all done with machine vision, looking at the body, very complex type thing. But one of the things that, as you mentioned in the intro, that I've become a big proponent of, and I teach all of my students in my classes this, is the simplest solution is generally best. So if I could take $1 million robot and make it a $200 shoe, there's a lot more people that can use that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. And I won't lie, I don't want to minimize the walking challenges a lot of your customers are facing.
Mhm.
I could probably use these shoes. The number of times I've tripped over myself in the swing
Yeah,
phase, I
yeah,
think,
I do it all the time.
yeah. So it might be a more general solution than we think. I
Yeah.
am curious though, given what you've been building, what did that first prototype look like? How did you go from the big $1 million robot to
Yeah.
something that you could actually get some feedback on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first shoe, as you could imagine, was robotic in nature. So we went from this big external robot to how can we bring this with people when they leave the lab? Because one of the people in the first studies at MIT said to me, it's just so easy walking when I don't have to worry about the floor causing me to trip every step. And it'd be great if I could walk over ground on your machine. And it was a joke. She said it as a joke.
Yeah.
And we took her seriously. So when I moved to UC Santa Barbara to start my faculty job here, I said, well, why don't we work together and let's try to transform that big treadmill system into something that's going to be able to be used outside the lab. So the first shoe is robotic. After 1 year, we found out there's a whole lot of problems with robotic shoes. You put weight at the end of your leg, it's hard to move it to
Yeah.
people that already have these problems to advance their foot forward. So we don't want to do that. And then there's complexity of software and motors and batteries and everything that you need in there. So it just was a bad solution, step one. So then we started to hack away and figure out, okay, how can we do this in a passive way? No motors, no electronics, nothing. And that would allow us to bring the cost down, the weight down, all that kind of stuff. So the first one was this platform that retracted inward from the tip of the shoe backwards. And then the first time we put somebody on that, they went downstairs and the platform retracted, and we're like, okay, this is done. So that whole effort was scrapped immediately. The first second it was on somebody, and then it was we had a whole bunch of students join up, and we just created about 40 different prototypes. So I know JL, we had talked
Oh, I
previously
love it.
about. Um, just the iteration side of this. You
Yeah.
build it, you test it, you build it, you test it, you keep going. So we hit about number 40 until we were happy with what we had and something that we felt like could move. And then we ran a pilot test at the university.
Mm.
So I love how you're talking about actually listening to customers and
Hmm.
even the things they say as kind of a one-off comment. And I found that that is very true in all of the work that JL and I have done. It's often those one-off comments from a customer that's like, oh, wait, customer, you had something. Yes, we can solve
Yes.
that problem for you, instead of sticking with what you've already assumed was the problem and
Oh my God,
already assumed
100%.
was the solution. I think just that skill of listening to what's the customer actually saying, what do they actually mean?
Right.
I
Yes.
think that that's powerful.
And that is our entire business at this point. So since we came out with our original shoe, this was 2024, March of 2024, we started shipping the first ones. And then as soon as we started shipping, all of a sudden, this funnel of ideas that you used to have to work really hard to get, it was really hard to find somebody that had a stroke that would, make use
Mm.
of our technology. It was hard to find them. But then when they start buying your products, all of a sudden you start just getting flooded with ideas and feedback.
Yeah.
And so just about everything that we've done since has been in a direct response to these comments. Like you said, Preston, the comments to oh, you have a shoe. I really wish I could have that in a sandal. I don't like wearing socks. Okay, we came out with a sandal. And if there's enough people, and now we're in a numbers game because we've
Yeah.
sold over 30,000 pairs of shoes in the last year and a half.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we have all these people telling us what they want. And
Yeah.
so people saying, I want a slipper. I want a slipper. So we just came out with a slipper. So now it's a household slipper and it has the same technology underneath it. Other people saying they wanted to use this with braces. So we went and we just did a whole 2 year product development cycle on making a shoe that would be perfect for people that wear these ankle foot orthosis braces. So
That-
it's really the exercise, you just listen. The hard part's getting started, that first product that you come out with, because now you have to really try hard to find somebody who's going to give you the right input. But once it's out there, man, it's the floodgates are open.
Well, and it's
But
interesting
I'm
to me, like as you talk about all the feedback, I've seen so many organizations when they hit that growth phase and that scaling phase, they let so much complexity creep in because, like, oh, someone
Mm,
wants this, let's add it. Someone wants that, let's add it. And like we talked earlier, the simplest solution, I think you've said this, is 99% of the time the best solution.
yeah.
So not only in like the prototype phase, but even in that growth phase, how do you decide when to let that complexity grow a little bit
Yep.
versus is maintaining that simplicity of the solution you've got?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have started I would say, since we went to market, we've probably had 20 or 30 different ideas that we let kind of start, like little seeds, right?
Yeah.
And those ideas, some of them we let grow to a certain point before we weed them out and throw them away.
Yep.
So we will typically listen. And then just over, I would say 4 or 5 months ago, I went through it's called a product dashboard. I've got all the different things that I think we can work on. And we only have so many resources because we're a tiny company.
yeah, yeah.
So then I looked at them, thought about market size, thought about the impact that we would make. So for example, our AFO shoe, I think that there are a certain number of people that won't be able to walk without it. So for me, this was a huge, um, I guess, product to bring to market because I thought the impact was huge. Even though I don't think that
Mhm.
the market is gigantic, a big part of our company is mission based. We're trying to do something good for people, and I thought that product itself would just outsize its market potential and the impact that we could make. So sometimes you approach things in that way. um, Other times you're looking at just like what's the total addressable market here, what's going to scale. Um, yeah, and you just have to make decisions. So I started out with 19 possible projects in this last this last session we did with our full management team, and we selected three that we were going to actually push forward.
I I think I've heard a quote of what makes the difference between a great photographer and a mediocre photographer, and it's the number of pictures that they take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's similar to what
It's
you're
a really good
describing. Is
point.
it's not that you get it right the first time; it's that you try a whole lot more to figure out
Yeah.
what works best.
Yeah, exactly. And you could prototype things, JL, you had said before, you prototype things quickly.
Yeah.
And you can do this most of the time. So if you think about, if we're using an example of shoes, all of our prototypes after the first robot one was took a pair of shoes, ripped it apart, cut holes in it, put new elements in it, and we could test it the next day. Sometimes we could test it the same day and make changes and do another one.
Yeah.
And so
Love it.
it's not that hard. Once you get to the point where you feel like you locked in, now it takes time. So you've got to
Yeah.
go to a factory, you got to spin up the factory, you got to communicate, make drawings, blueprints, all that kind of stuff. But before that, the easiest way to make a prototype is buy something similar and modify it.
Absolutely. And I
Love
think
it.
one of the best metrics you can have as an early startup is speed of learning. Like how
Yep.
fast are you learning? The higher that goes, the better that is, the better off you are. And I think that's what you're talking about. Just test, test,
Yeah.
test as much as you
Yeah.
can, get that feedback.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that you have a good perspective here as well. That you've kind of described it as just enough to learn,
Yes.
instead of is sort of what many people think of as an MVP of like just enough to make money or
Sure.
just enough to market, but just enough to learn. I think that that's a critical misunderstanding for
Yeah.
many people in a
Yep.
product development or startup world.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and I teach product design too at UCSB, and in the first quarter, my class is just wrapping up for the quarter right now, and we do prototypes every single quarter. So the first quarter, I'm telling them make 5 prototypes this quarter. Let's just try to figure out the concept. And a lot of these prototypes are very crude,
Yep.
and really the number one reason that you prototype anything is just to learn. That's it. It doesn't have to be pretty. The
Yep.
first one I always tell them could be built out of Legos or connects and use some kind of motor you get from a Lego kit. Who cares? Or it could be cardboard. It could be a looks like prototype. The amount of information you gather from that. I'll give you another example. We in my class we do a cardboard boat race. That's the team building activity. And the team goes and I assign different points, and there's you lose points for duct tape. So I give them paper tape, and so they think the duct tape is important. So they got a lot of people like getting the duct tape, and the reality is duct tape doesn't matter. So the duct tape's no better than the paper tape on these things. But you get these teams that really invest in something that they don't need at that point,
Yeah.
but you just don't know until you prototype. So the hardest part of these cardboard boat races, and hopefully none of my future students are listening, is getting into it. So two people have to get into it, and it goes in the ocean, and then they like surf the waves in these cardboard boats, and only like 2 boats make it
Yeah.
because they all just disintegrate before anybody can get into it. So like 2 out of 20 boats will actually do anything. But they don't know that. They never knew that that was the hard part, because you think about the boat needs to float. I got these materials. Oh, I'm gonna waterproof it. Well, it's not gonna last more than a minute anyway, so you don't need that. But prototyping allows you to know what the problem is. In this case, you got to get in the boat, and you don't know that until you build something. And sometimes cardboard will tell you.
I
JL,
love that metaphor.
I think that we need to start adopting the cardboard boats into some of our workshops.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I know, one thing we say a lot, Tyler, is you're on the right track with your first prototype if it feels a little bit like a kindergarten art project.
There you
Uh,
go.
so
That's it.
I think we're of a similar mind here. I
Yeah.
am curious though, how much time do we have? We're about 15 minutes. Let's go this way. I'm curious. It sounds like you've had a lot of success. Things have been moving fairly smoothly. Where are you struggling? Where are things
In
not as
in,
smooth?
in our business,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the growth. So it's the pain of growing is real. So I was just having a conversation about this recently. It's you know, when you're small and you're just launching your first product, it's actually not that busy of a time.
Right.
You're kind of working with a factory, getting things spun up. You're making a website. You're getting your marketing materials together, and you're going. You feel like you're really busy at that point, but you're not. And then, the second you ship that product and a customer gets it, you start getting flooded with all of this customer feedback, and you're kind of like scrambling. Oh, okay, what do I do with this? How do I handle this? So then, all for us, we had to hire a customer service department that was very good. We've found because of this business. Typically our demographic skews a little older, and a lot of people that are older like to talk to you about stuff.
Yeah.
So 75% of our customers will either talk to us before or after they purchase something, which is not typical
Wow.
for
It's a
for
lot.
a number of companies. So they'll be asking, how do I use the device or whatever, or they'll be asking something specific to them. But then after they get it, they might be asking for more advice or something like that, or they want to talk. So anyway, we had to set up this customer service thing, and so that starts to spin and everything's going. And then as your business scales, you're looking for growing. Okay, so we've done this thing. And then it's almost like you have to now start a new business. Like, for example, for us, we're direct to consumer primarily right now. But we make a device that's very medical in nature. So when we went to market, it was a consumer product, and we still sell it as like a consumer product. But we've had enough comments come back on our website. We have over 1,000 reviews now that say things like, I have Parkinson's and I used to fall and I don't fall anymore.
Mm,
Because that's on our website, even though we're not writing that, that's a medical claim.
right.
So now the FDA looks at that and says you're a medical device, and so we're registered with the FDA, and so that requires a whole new thing. It's like
Oh,
another
yeah.
business in
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
And then if you want to go in the medical direction, which is great for a lot of things like medical reimbursement things, but now you have to set up this quality system. You have to
Right.
be logging complaints. You have to have technical files. You have to have a quality manual. All of these things take time and to build out, and you're looking at all these channels now. We're now scaling all over the world. We're in Canada. We are in the UK right now. We have distributors in Korea. We're
Oh,
looking
wow.
at distributors in Japan and Australia and Thailand. And so all of these things start to bubble up, and you get so busy, and it's almost like this state of having to evolve. It almost feels like weekly into how you handle all of these things. Then hiring, but then funding. You're very limited in funding in a small startup,
Yeah.
by choice at this point. And we'll go after another funding round. So it's always the growth. I would say is the most challenging thing. It's hard to get up and get your first product out. Once you start to see some market success, that's great. But then you have to start to think about how we're going to scale, and that's the challenge, I think.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
love that. I think I would love to dive into how you build your team, how you select the people to help you. I think maybe the more important thing, though, is before we wrap up, when you're talking to an engineer and academic who does have a breakthrough idea similar to what you're going through,
Mhm.
what would you tell them? What advice would you give them on how to turn it into a company?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is my I would say my third startup if I were
Oh,
to
wow.
count. And the, the other the other two were well, the first one was just a complete failure. The second one is still, I would call it, limping along, and the third one is doing great. So the third one, the big difference was the first two were started with friends. Starting with friends
Wow.
is a hard place to start,
Yeah.
Yep.
just because there's relationship there. There's the ability to say it's okay when things aren't going right. Um, the last one, this one here, Cadence, was was started. It was actually a very lucky story. I went to a networking thing. I think it's important that everybody. So you asked what advice would I give? I would go to networking events for people that are entrepreneurial. Find people that are in that space. Cadence never would have happened had I not met our chairman at a networking event. So he had started he had been involved with 22 M&A exits, meaning, he's been around the town. He knows the playbook,
Yeah.
right? I don't know the playbook. I'm just an engineer. I don't know any of this stuff. And So I had a month left before the patent would expire. So the way that it works, you guys know patents well. For a provisional, you got 12 months before you have to file the non-provisional. And then you can file a PCT, extends it another 18 months. That PCT was, once it's up, you kind of lose everything with that patent. So I had about a month left, and I was just chatting at this networking thing, nothing, with no thought of what I was doing. I was talking about the other startup that was kind of like hanging
Limping.
on by a thread. And I just had mentioned, hey, I got this really great shoe idea. It's based on my research, and I think it's going to help a lot of people, but I have no money. I just burned it all on this other startup. I have nothing, and it's going to die in a month. And the right person heard me say that and asked for a follow-up meeting. We had that follow-up meeting, which was supposed to be a half hour. It ended up being 3 hours. We're sitting
Oh,
there
wow.
chatting. And then the next day he calls me and says, hey, I want to join you. I'll take a small part of your company. I'll meet with you weekly and I'll mentor this. And so that was it. That was the birth of the whole
Nice.
company. We found our CEO through him because our CEO went to him for mentorship. And then he just knows the playbook. So now we've built this company. We have about 10 people working for us. I'm in a technical role because that's who I am. I'm doing the research. We have clinical trials running and stuff like that. But we have a CEO that has done exactly what we wanted to do with direct to consumer before.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest thing. In previous companies, I started with people who were good friends who I thought could learn the skill that we needed to win. This guy came in, got everything. He knows how to do the marketing, the websites, the advertising. He knows who to work with, who not to work with, because he's been burned. He's got his battle scars in the specific area that we need him to have those,
Yeah.
and then it just takes off.
That's
So
wonderful.
advice: go find somebody. You can't do it yourself. Don't be the CEO. I stupidly thought I was going to be the CEO when I started, but I can learn all that stuff. Yeah, everybody can learn it all. It's fine. You can. It's going to take you 10 years to get good at it. But you can find that guy or girl who could come in tomorrow and do it in the way that you would be doing it in 10 years.
Mm.
Fair
No, that's
point.
great advice. Tyler, before we wrap up, if someone wants one of your shoes, wants to ping an idea off you, to collaborate with you, what's the best way for them to get into contact?
Sure. You can go right through our website at cadence.com. It's cadense.com. And if you just send a message to support, they can filter those over to me.
Awesome. Love it.
Great.
Tyler, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm going to go do a little bit more research on your shoes because I'm incredibly curious. I want to see more. For everyone else who made it all the way to the end with us, like I always say, while you're down there leaving that 5-star review, we'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What are your breakthrough ideas that just haven't quite turned that corner into a company yet? Or if you have some issues with mobility, maybe tell us a little bit about your experiences with Cadence shoes. We'd love to hear about that too. Either way, Tyler, again, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
JL Preston, thanks so much. I appreciate talking to you.
Awesome.
Thanks,
And for
Tyler.
everyone else, we'll see you next time on Breakthrough Innovation.